Section 1 of Notes of a War Correspondent. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Barry Eads. Notes of a War Correspondent by Richard Harding Davis. The Cuban-Spanish War. The Death of Rodriguez. Adolfo Rodriguez was the only son of a Cuban farmer, who lived 9 miles outside of Santa Clara, beyond the hills that surround the city to the north. When the revolution in Cuba broke out, young Rodriguez joined the insurgents, leaving his father and mother and 2 sisters at the farm. He was taken in December of 1896 by a force of the Guardia Civil, the corps d'élite of the Spanish army, and defended himself when they tried to capture him, wounding 3 of them with his machete. He was tried by a military court for bearing arms against the government, and was sentenced to be shot by a fusillade some morning before sunrise. Previous to execution he was confined in the military prison of Santa Clara with 30 other insurgents, all of whom were sentenced to be shot, one after the other, on mornings following the execution of Rodriguez. His execution took place the morning of the 19th of January, 1897, at a place a half-mile distant from the city, on the great plain that stretches from the forts out to the hills, beyond which Rodriguez had lived for 19 years. At the time of his death he was 20 years old. I witnessed his execution, and what follows is an account of the way he went to his death. The young man's friends could not be present, for it was impossible for them to show themselves in that crowd in that place with wisdom, or without distress, and I like to think that, although Rodriguez could not know it, there was one person present when he died who felt keenly for him, and who was a sympathetic though unwilling spectator. There had been a full moon the night preceding the execution, and when the squad of soldiers marched from town it was still shining brightly through the mists. It lighted a plain 2 miles in extent, broken by ridges and gullies and covered with thick, high grass, and with bunches of cactus and palmetto. In the hollow of the ridges the mist lay like broad lakes of water, and on one side of the plain stood the walls of the old town. On the other rose hills covered with royal palms that showed white in the moonlight, like hundreds of marble columns. A line of tiny campfires that the sentries had built during the night stretched between the forts at regular intervals and burned clearly. But as the light grew stronger and the moonlight faded, these were stamped out.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?